Hi, I'm Eddie. This is my driveway, and this is my Twingo. Right, so hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Eddie. This is my driveway. We're outside my garage, which is pretty rammed full of crap. But I thought I'd put together a video. I get lots and lots of people asking questions about the Twingo. This is it, the Twingo GT. She's had an engine conversion. So yeah, basically just thought I'd introduce you to myself, the car. I've got another car to do a video on at some point, the 1957 Renault Dauphine. I'm not sure if it's something that you guys are interested in or not. But like I say, I get lots of questions about the Twingo, so I thought I'd slap together a video for you all. Oh, also, start of all these YouTube videos I see online, I meant to say click subscribe. I think if I point in this general direction, it kind of looks like I'm pointing at the subscribe button, but subscribe and like, that'd be excellent. Cheers. Right, on here I've got my phone. I've got pictures of all the questions that I've been asked, so I'll just try and cover them, and then I'll go over the car itself, what's been done to it. So, questions quickly off Instagram, Adeyspec on Instagram if you want to give us a follow. Which has a bigger boot, this or my Renault Dauphine? Well, the Dauphine hasn't actually got a boot. It's got a front trunk, and in there there's a diesel heater, so there's not really any space in that. Is the dope cooler than the Chevy? That's from Jim. Jim sorted me out with loads of bits and lots of help over lots of projects over the years. I'd have to say the Chevy's a bit cooler than the dope, but different horses for courses, I guess. I might actually try and do a video with Jim at some point, show his Chevy off. Let's have a look. How have modifications affected your insurance with you're having remap issues with Direct Line? Okie doke. I'm old. I've got a few policies. Insurance wise, doesn't really change it that much. Probably adds £100 onto the policy for the year over a standard car. Benefits have been old, I guess. Mark Branston. When you're going to sell them? Everything's always up for sale, mate. You know me. How much did the Twingo cost to convert? Now, this is a good question. For myself, I did do a running total as a bit of a joke, offsetting everything that I already had on the car, all the modifications that I sold. So I haven't actually included the cost of them in the first place. But I actually think I tallied up that I did the conversion for less than £600, maybe less than £500. I'll have a quick look in a bit and pop up the price of how much it cost. But that's cost to me, no labour. I'm very frugal with parts. I make a lot of the parts I need if I need anything. And I got the engine at a very good price. If you actually wanted a rough estimate on how much it would cost you to do this again, or if I was to do it again, and I was paying full retail for the parts or full price on things that I got for free or from people's scrap piles, I'd be budgeting about £3,000 to £3,500. I mean, the engine package alone seems to sell for about £800 to £1,400. Again, I didn't pay that, so I was very lucky in that respect. I actually bought mine a lot cheaper on eBay. But yeah, £3,500 maybe if you were to do it yourself on the driveway. I think there were a few companies offering the conversion. There's a Beanie Sport who offer a conversion for this with this naturally aspirated engine. I think their price is about £3,000 plus the VAT. That's drive-in, drive-out. Obviously that's a 2-litre NA engine rather than a 2-litre turbo engine. So use that as a rough price, I guess. If you contact Chris, I think he might take on another 225 conversion. I'm not sure. But you know, if you want it done, you'll do it. It's not that hard to do. If you're handy with the spanners, you could do it. I've done it many times. Well, not many times, but I've done this with no real issues. So next questions on that. When's it going to be finished? From Louis Edgar. When's yours going to be finished, buddy? Project car's never finished. There's always something you want to do to them. So there's always more that I want to do to this. All-wheel drive, when's that going to happen? It'd be a nice thing to do. Not sure it'd be really beneficial with the low power, relatively low power of the car and how light it is. Things like torque steer from Robbie, much torque steer, livability, speed ramps and start-stop traffic. This is mapped by Chris at EFI Parts. This car runs like a factory vehicle now. I have no problems with, you know, stop-start traffic, even with a heavier clutch. It cruises nicely. This thing always gives high 30s to the gallon on a run. You kick its head in, it's a lot lower. But torque steer, again, it's a little bit savage in the wet. If you give it a load of stick from low down, it will pull left and right. Not as hardcore as your old like Vauxhalls and stuff, which would literally snap your hands and send you 3 lanes across the motorway. It's actually quite controllable. That's probably to do with the drive shafts more than anything. They're made in a way that they're split, so they're similar length at the outpoint and joints, so should deliver a certain amount of torque or a balance between the two wheels. No LSD in it though, so once it starts to light up, it does tend to go. You go into a corner hard and fast and it lights up, you're going wide. But you know, future could put a diff in there. Need to look into sort of what diff's going to fit, purely down to the fact that I've got a diesel gearbox in there. It's a JR5 gearbox, so it's similar to an RS133, but it's got different ratios for diesel gearing. I'm pretty sure the diff for a 133 should fit in there. There's also the cost side of it. A diff for one of these is probably going to be like 1,200–1,400 quid plus fitting. You know, I'm a budget builder. I like to do things frugally. I keep the costs down. I'm not trying to chase every 10th out on a track. To be fair, I haven't even taken this on track yet, but I will be coming to curbs in it, 16th of September. Give it a bit of a shakedown. I think I'll probably keep that as its first proper heavy abuse sort of track day, to give it a shakedown and see what breaks. But so far on the road, it's nothing major, just let go. It's as reliable as a factory car. I've done a lot with, well, I've built it with factory parts in mind. I've tried to do everything with a part that you can buy off the shelf rather than custom made parts, so no custom drive shafts as such. I think there's the odd adapter plate that I've made out of some aluminium, but other than that, everything on the car you can get either for a Twingo, a Clio or a Megane, and it'll fit, to keep it as factory and as OE as possible. Also, if something does break, I can just replace it easy enough. Next questions, let's have a look. Ollie Tyler, want to hear about the big power numbers? It's not actually that big. It's a 1,000 kg car roughly. I've had it on some scales that are scrappy. They're accurate within 20 kilos. I need to put it on some corner weights to see what it weighs in at perfectly, or exactly. It makes pretty much 280 brake horsepower, 300 foot-pound of torque. Puts it into the power to rate ratio of old 911s, GT3s, C63 AMGs, things like an E92 M3 coming at around 250, 260 brake per tonne. This is coming in at around 280 brake per tonne. Robert Bond, where did you source the information? Previous experience, trial and error, or other sources? The first two really, previous experience and trial and error. A long while ago I had an RS133, back in maybe 2015, 2016, and at the time I thought I'll put a bigger engine in there. So what I did is I took a Clio 197 block, I fitted a 172 sump to give it the bottom fitment for the 5-speed gearbox, and then re-drilled the block at the top half for the 5-speed gearbox. Renault, when they adapted the early F4R block to the later F4R block, so 172, 182 version versus the 197 version, expanded the block so that it had extra material to accept a 6-speed gearbox. What they actually did is still left all the casting material in place for the 5-speed box and just didn't drill and didn't drill the holes, didn't tap the holes. So the material's still there for a 5-speed block. If you use the 172 sump, you can use that to line up the gearbox, and you've got everything there you need to pilot through, drill and tap, bar one hole, so that the block then accepts a 5-speed gearbox. Now this is from my 133 back in the day. I retimed the cams so that they could be on-off actuation, I think. I can't remember, it's so long ago. but physically it was going to fit. And I did it with a JC5 box in mind for a Clio, and I was going to swap out to a selector rod manual clutch with a cable, 172 drive shafts and stuff, but I didn't actually complete the job. When the engine for this came up, I thought I'd do it the same way, except I've used a JR5 gearbox, which is a hydraulic clutch and cable shift, same as the Twingos are from factory, or the GT and the RS are. 5-speed box then also allowed me to keep it within the chassis rails and the subframe without having to modify or cut anything, and then basically drop it all in. I'll go through what's involved in that shortly. Anything else? Battery take up much space in the boot? No, I'll just put it in the wheel well. That's really it for the questions, I guess. Right, so as always, there's something going on. Got the wheel off for the moment for doing a ABS sensor. But yeah, apologies if it's all clunky and not natural. I can talk hours about shit in cars to pay face to face, but talking to a camera and no response is a bit of a weird one actually. But anyway, right, so here we got the basics of it. It's a Twingo GT. It used to have a 1149cc engine in it. It's actually under there. It was a turbo car from factory. You know, they have about 99 horsepower. I tuned it, tweaked it, mapped it EFI again. Big front intercooler went on there. Big injectors, fuel pump, air filter, decat downpipe and cat back exhaust. Used to put out about 150 horsepower, 150 foot-pound of torque, just under, shave under. It ran like that for 2 years. I actually sold this car twice in that time and bought it back because I missed it. Don't know why, it's just a Twingo. But I bought it back the last time, just before Christmas. The idea was to go big turbo with it on the little engine, put a new uprated clutch in there, and basically push it, hoping for about 170 horsepower out of it with a big turbo, maybe a cam, let it flow a bit better. But at the same time I started pulling that out, I found an engine on eBay. The engine in this now is an F4RT, the F4RT engine. It's the 2-litre turbo engine from Renault, the bigger one, the more powerful one. There is a smaller or a lesser powerful engine with different internals, but this is the same as the R26, R26R 225 and the Laguna GT 205, which is where I got mine from. A lot cheaper than if it was advertised for a 225 or R26. The idea was to keep myself a bit sane during furlough. I was off work, so I needed something to occupy my time. I mentioned previously that I built a 197 engine to a 5-speed box for an earlier 133 that I had. So I decided to go down the same route for this, but to do it even more so with less parts really, or more original parts, more Renault parts, less faffing about, just to make it go in and be as factory as possible. Now, it's pretty much there. There are the odd bits on there that aren't factory, which just help for setup and scope for power, rather than using the factory parts. But if I just go through it from start to finish, or left to right of the engine bay, I guess, and I can just go through what's on there, what's been done, and how it fits. So starting with the engine, it's a Megane 225 engine or Laguna GT 205 engine. It's a base engine. The engine itself is totally stock. I haven't actually touched anything internally. What I've done is to make it fit in this engine bay, which basically a Clio 2 engine bay with higher sides. I've added a 172 cam cover and the bottom section, and 172 engine mount. The Twingo uses the same style of mount as a Clio 2, so the 172 parts, Clio 2 parts fit in. I had to adapt the cam cover slightly to miss the cam belt, because the cam belt runs in a slightly different direction on the 172. It's a difference in the water pump, I think, but with a little bit chopped out of it, all bolts up fine. Allows you to suspend the engine on the left hand side, same as if it was in a Clio. So this should work in a Clio as well. You might have differences for pipe runs and stuff, but in a Clio 2, everything I've done in here will work in a Clio 2 as well. Like I say, engine stock. We've got a PMS bracket for the coil pack and HT leads. Now this is different to the normal Megane Laguna setup. They run a coil on plug. I've done that because this engine actually runs the complete GT loom still. The GT had a coil pack. I've had EFI parts remap the standard GT ECU to run this engine with the 225 injectors, everything else. For all intents and purposes, the ECU doesn't care what it's running, as long as it gets inputs, it can give outputs within a certain range. So, because the ECU was from a turbocharged car to start with, it was actually a pretty good candidate for running this engine. Like I say, engine itself stock. We've got Megane 225 injectors that have all been cleaned and flow checked by my good buddy Jim. 172 mounts and cam covers. Sump flywheel came from another good buddy called Jez. It's kind of a community build car. You know, it's built from scraps and spares from other piles or other people's piles of rubbish, and I've just put it to good use. We've got a Miltech downpipe and front pipe, 2.75 inch. They call it a 3 inch, I think. I got that from my man Briggsy. Check his stuff out. He's got a couple of pretty mental vans and a whole fleet of Renaults. But yeah, bought a downpipe with a crack in it, welded it up, slapped it on. Got a rattly front pipe, can stay rattling, I'm not too fussed about that. On the exhaust side, I mated it to a 2.5 inch exhaust that I made in the back garden with a gasless MIG, so it's not pretty. Mated to a Clio back box, which I also got from Jez. On this side, we've got a Honda S2000 air filter from, you know, your normal motor factors. You can buy them for about £13–14. Some hoses, blanking plate. They pretty much all come from Forge Motorsport. That's from a mate called Paul. He works down there on research and development, I think. Usually sorts us out with some pretty good discounts, along with modified Megane 225 Forge boost pipe work on the right hand side there. What else? We've got a dump valve T-piece welded to the standard GT throttle body. This is off a Renault 5 GT Turbo. I found it in my drawer. I've had it many years. That was welded on by, I think it's Zaraski Motorsport. They're over near Ledbury. Pretty handy, very handy, making trucks and cars and loads of weird and random stuff in there. Great place to go down to, and the bloke's a legend. Did that for next to nothing for over a couple of days, and really helped me out with that. So the car runs the GT throttle body as well, which also keeps the ECU happy. The GT throttle body for the 1149cc engine is exactly the same size as a Megane 225 throttle body. It came in about 42mm. And then on that, I think that out there, this adapter plate, is about the only thing that I've made that's custom for this. Block was re-drilled using the 172 sump, a JR5 gearbox from a Modus. It's got nice ratios actually, 1st to 4th, 5th is a bit long, it'll do 160 mph plus. Block was re-drilled to accept the 5-speed box. It's got a CG Motorsports clutch, along with a Twingo RS133 clutch cover. Drive shafts are standard GT drive shaft on this one side. On this side it is a Clio DCI inner shaft and a 172 outer shaft, bringing it to the right length of the GT chassis. If you're doing this in a Clio 2, you'd be using a Clio 2 style box with a different style drive shaft. The drive shafts on this are a later style similar to a Megane, rather than the 172 style ones with a spider that goes inside the diff. But yeah, engine wise, I don't think there's much more to it other than the remap. I've got a rising rate fuel pressure regulator set up rather than a single feed-in tank. This gives me scope for just over about 300 horsepower from the standard injectors, whereas normally they'd be flat out at about 270. But yeah, there you go. That's a Megane 225 engine squashed in a Twingo Bay car. It's a Twingo GT, but it was optioned with the black interior, none of the hearing aid beige stuff. That's from factory. we've got a Megane RS250 steering wheel fitted, Twingo RS133 seats, back seats are taken out. Other than that, everything is factory, even down to the standard radio. I have got an extended shifter. I'll see if I can show you that. I don't think it shows much. Get the cable off. Extended shifter, just brings it up to a nice height. But yeah, this is the Twingo basically. Suspension wise, it's on AP coilovers. Brakes wise, it has a Peugeot master cylinder. That was fitted twofold one. It's bigger than the original master cylinder, and two, it moves the brake pipe work across so that it's further away from the downpipe. Front brakes are Peugeot 307 HDI items. I think they share them with a 208 maybe, and it's fitted with two little washers to move the caliper slightly, and fits over some Clio 182 discs, so 280mm discs. Paired with that, I've got some 20mm spacers, OZ F1 alloys, same as the Phase 1 Clio 172, so they're nice and light. But yeah, for a pretty budget basic build, it goes all right. Flies down the road, it handles very well. We're also on 172 wishbones, 172 anti-roll bar, Powerflex bushes. So yeah, it's quite tight. It's got e-pass from factory, so another nice little touch. But yeah, goes very well for a budget build. Something I built over about 2 months, just to keep myself entertained whilst on furlough. I also say a lot. My daughter does that. But yeah, good fun car. I built it on the cheap. The idea was to have more than 250 brake per tonne. I've got a lot of mates that drive E92 M3s. They all have 250-ish brake per tonne. And when I go out on a run, I'd like to be able to keep up with them for not much outlay. Plus, I love Renaults. I suppose I could have got a 250 RS, something like that, but that's quite a big change. Plus, I like building. Actually putting things together, thinking about how things should work. And basically building, coming up with ideas. I mean, I could go down the pub and watch football or something, I guess, but, you know, I'm a bit boring and weird and sit in the garage instead. Jabbering on lots right now, so hopefully I can edit this out. I'm also crap at editing. But, yeah, this afternoon I should have the ABS sensor on. We'll take for a test drive. I'll get some videos, hopefully get some drive-bys so you can hear the exhaust. And I might try and put this microphone in the engine bay so you can hear all the turbo whooshy noises, because everyone loves the noise of a spoolie boy. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see what I can do with regards to editing. I'll put this on my computer, but I am really, really shit at it. I might have to ask another friend if he can do that for me. But I'll see what I can do. I'll get some pictures together, get some videos together, get some drive-bys, hopefully get some noises, and hopefully you've liked what you've seen. If you have, please hit the subscribe and like button. I will continue to update videos now.